World WW1 Part-5. Battle of the Isenzo. The First Battle of the Isenzo took place in the late spring of 1915, soon after Italy's entrance into the war on the Allied side. In the 12th Battle of the Isenzo, also known as the Battle of Caporetto, October 1917, German reinforcements helped Austria-Hungary win a decisive victory. After Caporetto, Italy's allies jumped in to offer increased assistance. British and French, and later, American, troops arrived in the region, and the Allies began to take back the Italian front. World War I at sea. In the years before World War I, the superiority of Britain's Royal Navy was unchallenged by any other nation's fleet, but the Imperial German Navy had made substantial strides in closing the gap between the two naval powers. Germany's strength on the high seas was also aided by its lethal fleet of U-boat submarines. After the Battle of Dogger Bank in January 1915, in which the British mounted a surprise attack on German ships in the North Sea, the German Navy chose not to confront Britain's mighty Royal Navy in a major battle for more than a year, preferring to rest the bulk of its naval strategy on its U-boats. The biggest naval engagement of World War I, the Battle of Jutland, May 1916, left British naval superiority on the North Sea intact, and Germany would make no further attempts to break an Allied naval blockade for the remainder of the war. World War I planes. World War I was the first major conflict to harness the power of planes. Though not as impactful as the British Royal Navy or Germany's U-boats, the use of planes in World War I preceded their later, pivotal role in military conflicts around the globe. At the dawn of World War I, aviation was a relatively new field. The Wright brothers took their first sustained flight just 11 years before, in 1903. Aircraft were initially used primarily for reconnaissance missions. During the First Battle of the Marne, information passed from pilots allowed the Allies to exploit weak spots in the German lines, helping the Allies to push Germany out of France. The first machine guns were successfully mounted on planes in June of 1912 in the United States, but were imperfect. If timed incorrectly, a bullet could easily destroy the propeller of the plane it came from. The Marne Saulnier L, a French plane, provided a solution. The propeller was armored with deflector wedges that prevented bullets from hitting it. The Marne Saulnier Type L was used by the French, the British Royal Flying Corps, part of the Army, the British Royal Navy Air Service and the Imperial Russian Air Service. The British Bristol Type 22 was another popular model used for both reconnaissance work and as a fighter plane. Dutch inventor Anthony Fokker improved upon the French deflector system in 1915. His interrupter synchronized the firing of the guns with the plane's propeller to avoid collisions. Though his most popular plane during WWI was the single-seat Fokker Eindecker, Fokker created over 40 kinds of airplanes for the Germans. The Allies debuted the Handley Page HPO/400. The first two-engine bomber, in 1915. As aerial technology progressed, long-range heavy bombers like Germany's Gotha GV, first introduced in 1917, were used to strike cities like London. Their speed and maneuverability proved to be far deadlier than Germany's earlier Zeppelin raids. By war's end, the Allies were producing 5 times more aircraft than the Germans. On April 1, 1918, the British created the Royal Air Force, or RAF, the first air force to be a separate military branch independent from the Navy or Army. Second Battle of the Marne. With Germany able to build up its strength on the Western Front after the armistice with Russia, Allied troops struggled to hold off another German offensive until promised reinforcements from the United States were able to arrive. On July 15, 1918, German troops launched what would become the last German offensive of the war, attacking French forces, joined by 85,000 American troops as well as some of the British Expeditionary Force, in the Second Battle of the Marne. The Allies successfully pushed back the German offensive and launched their own counter-offensive just 3 days later. After suffering massive casualties, Germany was forced to call off a planned offensive further north, in the Flanders region stretching between France and Belgium, which was envisioned as Germany's best hope of victory. The Second Battle of the Marne turned the tide of war decisively towards the Allies, who were able to regain much of France and Belgium in the months that followed.